Hey everyone, and welcome back to my weekly guide on painting European soldiers for Blood and Plunder. This is part 7, and today I'm starting on the smaller details. I'm going to be going for the reverses, like the cuffs and the tops of pockets. So my plan here is to bring a bit more brightness to the model. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint these in off-white color. And how I'm going to do that, I'm not going to use the technique you've been seeing a lot of, which is kind of base, shade, highlight. This is going to be a pure layering technique. So I'm going to start off with Citadel Rakarth Flesh, which is a great base for when you're painting off-white. So one of the reasons why this is easier to do as a layering technique is the actual areas aren't that big. Also, you haven't got a lot of creases, so the wash is just kind of gonna sit and just tint it. So I can get a lot better result by actually just painting from my darkest shade, which will be my Rakarth Flesh, then adding progressively more white and getting my desired off-white highlight. Going for off-white rather than brilliant white because, again, when you talk about soldiers and the kind of period of history, white of someone, who's not fantastically wealthy is going to be a bit far-fetched. We're not talking about high elves here, we're, talking about soldiers. So as you see, I'm just going over it. I haven't thinned this at all. This is just straight out the tub. And I'm painting pretty much, well, obviously all the top, and then just going over the edges on the sides to almost the base. But I'm leaving that little line, sort of a bit more definition. Right, just do it underneath now. Trick when you're doing this isn't always to get all the way to the base or having, that perfect, half a mil line. But the trick is, really, it's just making sure that line's straight or at least smooth. So if you have any little blebs where it sticks out, like say that, for instance, there we go. If I'll have to do that bit there, which I'm trying to. All you need to do is if you just smooth that out, it'll look 100 times better. It doesn't need to be absolutely perfect. What you just need is to make sure you don't have any sudden changes of angles, change of lines, which is going to catch the eye. And that'll just make your model look a lot neater. So you can almost hide in plain sight. Like there. Doesn't look great. Smooth that out. Take 2 attempts at it because you messed up the first time. And then smooth it out 100 times better. Oh, this is a tiny spot more paint. So just sometimes it's worth just bearing that in mind that you can get away with a lot if you just keep your lines smooth. Obviously, they don't have to be straight. If you're trying to paint them curved, don't put a straight line on curve. It'll look ridiculous. But follow that curve around smoothly. Don't have anything too jarring. And even if it's not perfectly flush, it won't catch the eye and no one will ever notice. Right, so we're getting there, we're almost there. This cuff's almost done. Both pockets are done. If anyone happens to know what those pockets are called, leave a link in the description. Leave a comment in the bit below, not the link in the description. That's what we do. And well, help us learn. Right, let's just smooth that out. Right, last one. So on this particular sleeve, because his arm's kind of pulled up as he's holding it in the musket, you can see the end of his shirt sleeve. Now, I'm going to paint that up later. I won't do a video on that unless, actually saying, you'll probably see me do that when I come to do the scarf and his, I guess you'd call them garters there. At least the bottom of his breeches. But, I'll just probably just tie those in the same color. But that's the kind of detail that I do love about Blood and Plunder models, the stuff from Firelock games, is you got that extra detail, that little bit extra believability and quality of miniature, but it's not an absolute ball breaker to paint. It's gonna be just nice, just quick job, but adds the overall effect to the model, which is best of both worlds, really. Looks good, easy to do. Right, almost there. For now, I've just painted right over the top of the buttons. But when we get to painting the brass buttons and things, you'll see why that's not a big deal. Right. So just make sure I've gone all the way on there, and there we go. That's the base coat on. As you can see, it's already kind of brightened the model up a bit. So I'll be back in a second and we'll start to go through the highlight stage. And we're back with highlighting. And yes, I said highlighting. As I said before, we're doing no shading on this. We're just going straight to highlight. So what you're going to need is you're going to need your archive flesh. You're going to need your white. I'm using Coat d'Arms white. It's quite a thin white. It's absolutely lovely. It's my favorite of whites. If I was to recommend one, I would say Coat d'Arms white. It's not too thin that you 100 layers, but it's nice and thin, so it gives a smooth coat. And of course, especially when we're using white and we're mixing a thick base coat in, I want some thinner, so I'm using Lamy and medium. So for my first coat, I'm going for a 50-50. 50% Rathcar flesh. Oh, there we go, that open. 50% white. There we go, that's the word I was looking for. I'll just leave that there. And then just a little brush full of Lamy and medium, so that flows, because otherwise it's going to look absolutely awful. Especially when you're using your whites and your blacks and your dark blues. You must be thinning things if you want it to look decent. Otherwise, it comes out looking really patchy. I find those are the most unforgiving of colors. So what I'm doing now is I'm going over the edges and between the buttons. for the pocket bit, and then I will see better on this one. There we go. So I want to just leave a little bit of the original color showing through, where the crease is between the buttons. And same for the cuffs. What I'm going to do is the center of the cuff is going to be the original color. I'm going to highlight out over. So about a third of the cuff I'm painting in the first highlight stage on that side. Same on this side. On this side I'm going to do a little bit less. Just so I'll get some nice definition of those buttons. So a third of the cuff. This side. It's looking pretty good. I'm happy with this. Not so happy with that. Don't mind me. Just wiping away where I've overpainted. But yeah, the joy of when you've thinned your paints plenty is you can actually do that. You've got a quick grace period of time to remove errant paint, we'll call it, with a wet brush. And because this is on camera, I used water from a water cup and not just like licking the brush, which is, I'll be honest with you, my preferred technique. Right, so there's our first coat done. Don't know how it's coming through, but hopefully you can see. Yeah, you can see that pretty well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, from the mix I've just used, 50%, and then add equal parts highlight, white to that, sorry. So my highlight should then be 75% white, 25% rock art flesh. And that's not bad for your maths for today. So now I'm just going to go over it. I'm just going to give this a nice edge highlight. Just where the light's going to be catching the edges of everything. And this gives us the illusion of white without kind of going, I'm white. Which, of course, as we know, garments talk. So that just gives it. I don't want to look too brilliant white, straight out the washing machine white, because, well, it's it's a uniform in the 17th century. I don't think it's gonna look too brilliant. So I'm just gonna. And for the cuffs, I'm just doing the edges. So the end highlight should be no thicker than half of your previous layer for this, because otherwise it starts to overwhelm it. It's no longer like an edge highlight. So I just want a bit of a gradient. Almost there. Alright. Just that last bit. Bit behind the gun. Always the awkward bit, but not too bad. And there we have it. There we go. Nice reverse is done there. So these soldiers are really coming together now. Get a good idea of how the uniform's going to be. So there's going to be a bit more color added in our next step. I'm going to do the scarves and what I'm calling the garters. I don't know if that's the proper word, but they tie their bomb with breeches and they would help keep stockings up. So I'm calling them garters. And that's it from me today. I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, leave a comment below. If you haven't, leave a comment below. And we'll catch you next time. And that's all. May the dice gods smile upon you. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.